Hello everyone, Joel here. While everyone else is busy simping for the same three massive ARPG franchises, the real Diablo slayers are creeping up in the shadows. I've dug through the deepest, darkest corners of the internet to find 15 absolute bangers coming up soon that hopefully will change your addiction. We're going beyond the mainstream hype to the stuff that's actually innovative, or at least edgy enough to keep you awake during a 4 a.m. Ever looked at a world map and thought, I want to shove this directly into my skill tree? Well, Glitch Factory did. And honestly, it's about time someone brought some big brain energy to the genre. In To Kill a God, the map is your skill tree. Every path you carve through the death spiral isn't just a destination, it's literally building your character's DNA. It's like Slay the Spire had a wild night with Path of Exile, and the result is this beautiful chaotic mess. The combat is faster than your last relationship ended and just as unforgiving. You're trapped in a cycle of death and rebirth, which, let's be real, is just a Tuesday for us. But here's the kicker. You're doing it all to personally deplatform some tyrannical demigods. It's indie, it's edgy, and it's being published by Mad Mushroom. Next up is Shattered Realms, a game that asks the age-old question: what if the world broke and it was actually your fault? Okay, maybe it wasn't your fault, but you're the poor guardian stuck cleaning up the mess. This is a fast-paced roguelite ARPG where you traverse fragments of a destroyed planet to smack around corrupted enemies. It's got that addictive just one more run energy that usually leads to sunrises and regret. The variety here is spicy. You can go from a berserker turning faces into pulp to a sorceress melting screens with elemental magic. Since the maps are procedurally generated, you won't get bored of the scenery while you're getting your teeth kicked in. Between runs, you head back to Aetherhold to craft gear and lick your wounds. It's got deep customization, online co-op for when you need a meat shield, friend, and a loot system that'll keep your dopamine receptors firing. If you've ever wanted to combine the loot whoring of Diablo with the absolute trust issues of an extraction slasher, Usurpator is about to become your new toxic personality trait. Developed by a tiny team of 2, this game drops you into a portal-filled wasteland where the goal is simple. Go in, kill things that look like they haven't showered in a century, and get out before someone else decides your loot looks better on their corpse. The combat isn't just mindless clicking, it's a brutal dance of parries, dodges, and combos that'll make you feel like a god until you accidentally roll off a cliff. You can forge alliances, but let's be real, everyone is just a backstab waiting to happen. With a deep talent tree, magic runes, and an arena mode for the true sweatlords, it's got layers. If you thought you'd seen every possible way to click on a monster until it explodes, Treasure Tile is here to make you rethink your entire life. This game is the unholy union of tactical strategy and real-time hack and slash. Imagine a world where the floor is literally falling apart under your feet while you're trying to dodge a fireball. It's tile-based, but don't let that fool you into thinking it's a slow-paced chess match. It's fast, fluid, and rewards you for tile-crumbling plays that feel incredibly satisfying, kind of like popping bubble wrap, but with more murder. The customization is where things get truly unhinged. You collect rare crystals to shape skills into whatever fever dream you want. It's like the developers gave us the cheat codes and said, "Go nuts, you beautiful disasters." With a hand-painted procedurally generated world that shifts every time you enter, you'll never get bored or find your way home. Imagine if Diablo and extraction shooters had a baby, and that baby was absolutely terrified of the dark. In NeverLight, demons have basically turned the surface into a permanent no-go zone, forcing humanity to live like moles. You use a magical artifact to bring back the sun, but here's the catch, it's on a timer. You've got about 20 minutes of daylight to loot, rescue survivors, and finish quests before the night monsters come out to treat you like a snack. The cool part? You collect sins during runs, temporary unhinged power-ups that mess with your abilities in the best way possible. If you die, you lose your current haul, but your base building and skill trees are permanent. It's 1 to 4 player co-op, so you can bring friends along to watch them panic when the extraction timer hits 5 minutes and the darkness starts closing in. Before we go into the list, I want to give you my recommendation for some of the best deals in instant gaming right now, especially if you're tight on budget. We knew that instant gaming always give us so many crazy deals for your favorite games, like these titles for example. I mean, can you believe these prices? If you love RPGs, there's no way you never heard of these masterpieces, and to think that you can get them under $10 or even $5, it's an absolute steal. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. If you miss the days when RPGs didn't hold your hand and Frozen Wasteland meant more than just a blue filter, Mortal CRUX is your nostalgia-fueled fever dream. Developed by a solo dev who clearly hasn't slept in years, this game is a love letter to early 2000s classics like Morrowind and Diablo. You start in a cozy cottage before venturing into a non-linear world where the NPCs actually have lives. They sleep, they work, and they'll probably judge you for looting their barrels. The combat is Souls-light from an aerial view, but the real mind trip is the interior system. When you walk into a building, it shifts to cinematic fixed cameras like the original Resident Evil. It's a bold move that makes every room feel personal and slightly claustrophobic. With 4-player co-op, underwater exploration, and a world that reacts to your choices, it's a massive project that feels like a hidden masterpiece in the making. If you've ever wanted to fight a literal plague without the social distancing, Netherwyn is here to scratch that itchy, infected spot. This roguelite ARPG sends you and your buddies into a world that's basically a giant petri dish. The star of the show? The Pestilence, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse who has decided that humanity is overdue for a global fever. You'll be slicing through everything from ratkins to towering plague demons. The deep mastery system is the real selling point here. You don't just pick a class, you smash 2 masteries together like a mad scientist. Want to be a Templar? Mix warrior and holy. It's like a medieval smoothie bar, but instead of kale, you're blending divine smites and heavy metal. With procedural levels that rearrange themselves every time you die, it's the perfect game for people who enjoy suffering in 4-player co-op. Remember the days when pre-rendered backgrounds were the peak of sexy and games didn't hold your hand through every paper cut? The Goddess's Will is basically a love letter to your childhood. This 2.5D isometric ARPG is a brutal power fantasy where you play as Oswald, an emperor who lost everything because a wicked goddess decided to ruin his afternoon. It looks like a classic from 1998 but plays with the kind of advanced AI that'll actually flank you, retreat when wounded, and generally treat you like the AI's own personal loot drop. The traditional system design means your choices actually matter. Every major decision unlocks permanent abilities that change how you interact with the world. You'll need to master 5 different energies to balance your stats, which sounds like a lot of math, but it's mostly just an excuse to craft artifacts that make you an absolute god. Are you tired of the dark and brooding ARPG aesthetic where everyone looks like they haven't seen sunlight or a therapist in a decade? Well, Life/Death is the colorful middle finger you've been waiting for. You play as an ordinary office worker, literally office plankton, who gets sucked into a portal and ends up in a world filled with unicorns, wizards, and living vegetables. The game leans hard into humor, chaos, and fusion fantasy absurdity. It's basically Diablo on a sugar rush with a side of LSD. You get to manage your own location, and the game actually lets you remove annoying mechanics like weak economy or boring greenery. You'll be crushing opponents with clouds and making friends with Death himself. It's bright, it's funny, and it's the perfect palate cleanser for the genre. If you've ever wanted to handle a midlife crisis by moving to the woods to hunt hags, Striga is your spirit animal. This Slavic-inspired isometric roguelite is basically a high-speed blender, where the ingredients are witches, twisted minions, and your own questionable life choices. You play as a witch hunter tasked with disrupting dark rituals before massive crimson monoliths ruin the property value of the entire kingdom. The gameplay loop is a chef's kiss of power tripping. You absorb the essence and hexes of your enemies, literally turning their dark magic against them. Every kill makes you a bigger threat, and while you will inevitably die, you'll return with memory shards to upgrade your stats. With a setting full of deep woods and abandoned huts ripped straight out of a folklore nightmare, it's the perfect way to spend your 2026. Welcome to Neverwards, or as I like to call it, Inventory Management the Game. Developed by Crimsofall Technologies, this dungeon crawler drops you into the world of Neverfell, which is basically a giant procedural middle finger to anyone who likes having a predictable route home. You've got 4 classes: Paladin, Arcanist, Hunter, and Brawler, so you can pick exactly how you'd like to fail at surviving. The loot system here is infinite, which sounds great until you realize you're going to spend 3 hours debating which of the 7 rarity tiers of slightly moist boots will help you not get turned into a grease spot by a boss. The combat actually requires you to use your brain instead of just having a seizure on your left mouse button, which is a bold choice for the genre. It's got deep lore to read while you're waiting for your health to regen, and since it's free to play, the only thing you're really losing is your dignity and several nights of sleep. Imagine a world where you wake up with zero memory, probably from a night of heavy drinking or just a really aggressive goblin encounter. ROVE is what happens when a classic point-and-click adventure gets tired of solving puzzles and decides to start swinging a massive hammer instead. It's a point-and-slash hybrid that balances witty dialogue and clever puzzles with the kind of intense isometric combat that'll have you sweating through your tunic. The game practically begs you to break the fourth wall while you're outsmarting elemental foes and looting gear that actually makes you look like a legend. You can customize your slaughter with everything from mystical staves to razor-sharp swords, making it perfect for anyone who wants a story-rich RPG that doesn't take itself too seriously. It even snagged an award for storytelling, so you know the jokes will actually land while you're busy custom-fitting a skeleton for a casket. If you've ever wanted to save the world while wearing a cat onesie or an astronaut suit, Void Dungeon is here to validate your weirdly specific fashion choices. This 2D pixel art ARPG takes the bullet hell genre and shoves it into a blender with classic hack and slash mechanics. You can roll solo or grab 3 friends for some chaotic co-op, which is perfect for when you need someone else to blame for walking into a trap. With multiple races and classes, the customization is deep enough to keep you busy for hours, and the loot goes all the way up to Singularity tier because Legendary just isn't extra enough anymore. The dungeons are procedurally generated, ensuring you never get too comfortable with the layout before a monstrous boss decides to turn you into a pixelated smear. There's even a cursed tower and leaderboards for the competitive sweatlords who need to prove they're the best at clicking on pixels. Welcome to the frontier where the sun is on permanent strike and your life expectancy is shorter than a cheap cigar. The Dark West is an isometric ARPG that takes the cowboys vs aliens trope, drowns it in black magic, and leaves it out to rot in an eternal dusk. You aren't just worrying about outlaws here. Greed has unearthed things that make a bullet to the brain look like a mercy killing. The combat is fast and brutal. Staying upright means keeping your nerve while gunfire cracks against eldritch horrors that don't care about your quick draw. The real hook? It uses a poker card power system where you assemble hands to twist your abilities, proving once and for all that gambling is a legitimate combat strategy. Oh, and alcohol actually gives you strength but dulls your senses, just like a standard Friday night, but with more demons. If you thought the Path of Exile to Early Access was just a light snack, Return of the Ancients is the 0.5 patch that's about to shove the entire buffet down your throat. Dropping on May 29, 2026, this is Grinding Gear Games' final major expansion before the 1.0 launch, and it's basically a get good or get out love letter to the end game. They've completely reimagined the Atlas into a guided, quest-driven experience, meaning you might actually understand why you're killing things for once. It introduces the Runes of Aldur-League, where you scribe symbols onto Azomite remnants to craft gear, which sounds peaceful until the nearby dead rise up to murder you. The selling point? Two brand new ascendancies, the Martial Artist and the Spirit Walker, and a Runic Ward mechanic that acts like a second life bar for people who suck at dodging. You'll be exploring 5 new storylines and facing 15 new bosses, including 4 pinnacles, that will likely turn your expensive build into a pile of sad pixels. With over 100 new runes and a built-in build planner so you don't have to keep 40 browser tabs open, it's the most complete the game has ever felt.
It's your last.
Continue the search. See what you can find. Now see how your story ends.
Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your favorites that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!